before I get started, I want to introduce myself. My name is Ebony Dion. I am the owner and founder of Journey to a Training Health and Wellness. I am a certified holistic health coach. And basically what that is, I work with men and women to help them find their authentic path, to get them back to their road of health and well-being. So it's really not, I don't focus on trying to get people into bikini body, all right? That's not my focus. My focus is to heal you, all right? Because the bikini body, if that's what's supposed to happen, will follow. Because, you know, first, the mind must be, right, where your body needs to go, all right? My physical body, everything that you see standing here in front of you is a result of my thought process, all right? So if my thought process is broken, I'm going to be a broken pile of mess in front of you. So any issues that we deal with on the surface, that we deal with, that people see, you know, whether it's overweight, whether it's acne, whether it's broken, hurting joints and pains, whether it's poor dysfunctional relationships that we have, right? If it's the inability to just cope with life, right? Those begin with our thoughts and thought processes. What happens with grief and loss, right? We've all lost something. You know, that is a part of life, is to lose. But we all go through that process different. It all hits us in different places and different stages in our life, and it gives us different experiences. So even though I may have lost things in my life, I can't necessarily know what your loss feels like, but I can empathize with you. And so I bring that today as my empathy and my compassion. This room is here for a reason, Mothers Against Youth Genocide. I have a son. I have an 8-year-old son, and he's the light of my life. And I want to make sure that I realize that right now, right today, the choices that I make, you know, are plans for his future, right? And those of us that, you know, and I'm still in childbearing years, and those that are in childbearing years and still are planning on having children, realize that you're carrying future generations still within you as women, right? As women, we are carrying our future generations with us. Men, your day-to-day activity that you come in, right? So my ovaries and my seeds and my eggs, that's the hardware, right? That's the hardware of the computer. And the men, when you're coming in contact, your everyday attitude, right? The confrontations, the stress that you have to deal with, you know, when you're dealing with loss, if you're dealing with grief, or just the stress of really, you know, I have honest conversations with black men, just the stress of just being a black man in America, right? That encodes your DNA and the sperm that you reproduce every 72 hours, right? So that's the software that is now going into the seed, right? So my DNA has been injured for years. This grief that we're experiencing here today, and the personal losses and the stories that we're experiencing here today, did not begin today. It did not begin on March 3rd, 2010. It did not begin in 2009 for you. It did not begin in 2009 for you. It happened hundreds of years ago. It happened generations and generations and generations ago, okay? This is a loss that has been, it's like malware, right? It's that virus that has attached itself to our DNA, to our authentic self, to that blueprint, to that code, those binary codes that tell us how we operate as divine beings, right? So when we have these things that have happened to us throughout generations, and then we experience it here. So it's not just the loss that I experienced here today. This is just not my son or my daughter that I lost here today. This is generations of pain that I have lost, right? That you come back and you bring back and you re-experience. Me, my own personal story, which brings me to being a healer. The difference between a healer and a doctor is a healer has actually had to heal themselves and work on themselves. I heal myself daily, all right? I am a work in progress. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm also speaking to myself. So realize that I don't come to you and just speak to you in vain of things that I've read out of a book or just theories. These are things that I've had to experience. And for me to walk this life, because I chose this life and the ancestors gave me the blessing to walk this life, I had to experience things so I can come and talk to you and realize that I understand, I empathize, I am compassionate, because I have too suffered my own loss, right? My loss isn't in the context of what most of us are here today as Mothers Against Youth Genocide, is really about the brutality of the system, right? How the system has continued to victimize us, right? And are we going to be victims? Are we going to be victors? Are we going to be fighters? Are we going to lay down and just take what's been given to us? Or are we going to stand up and fight, right? last year in 2013, I was forcibly evicted from my home in Tarrant County. I was fighting against the banks, Wells Fargo and the banks, and I did this fight on my own. I got some information, I started reading law, we got upset. I was like, no, this isn't fair, this isn't right, they should not be doing these things to me. You know, I see the robo signing, I see how everything is, you know, is fake, you know, everything, the legit, you know, the loan was sold. I could go through the whole story, and I don't want to bore you necessarily with the details of the story, except for just to underline the system of how, you know, loss is experienced. So this is, I'm going in the courts every day, dealing with the judges, dealing with the DAs, dealing with the lawyers, and I realized, why do I need a lawyer? Because these lawyers is idiots.
That's right.
But the thing of it is they have now sworn their allegiance to the Queen, and so they are now in collective agreement with each other. So it doesn't matter how smart I am or how many, you know, Code of Federal Regulations I can recite. You know, they have all collectively agreed, right? So even when we're talking about elected officials, you have to realize that they're a lawyer. They've already assigned their allegiance. It doesn't, you know, we have to really start thinking about that as well. All right, so that's a whole nother story. But that being said, I'm gonna tell you the ancestors that, you know, they asked me, because I do know that I was brought here, I wanted to be a healer, I wanted to, all of us want to be successful. We had those things that we want, not just for myself, but for my son and for future generations. I wanted to start a legacy of something that I could, not just for me to be comfortable, but for my children and children's children, and many generations could, you know, benefit from. I fight the courts. I'm in the courthouse. I end up, they tried 3 or 4 times to actually evict me. I stayed in that house many more months than I probably should have with the ancestors until you know, it was time for me to go. It's actually coming up on the anniversary, May 20th, 2013. That day, actually, there was an F5. OYA was doing her work, and right up north on 35 in Oklahoma, that was one of the biggest tornadoes that they've ever had, that they've had in, you know, an extremely long time. On that day, the constable comes and stands in front of my door, you know, with this letter. I'm sorry, ma'am, this time I really do have to evict you. I knew they were coming. I felt them driving down the block. Their ancestors had already told me. I'd already been praying and meditating that day. Me and my son stood right in front of my altar. We prayed to the ancestors that, you know, you're going to protect us. I felt them. I saw them coming. I was like, I cannot leave my house. I called my friend. They're here at my door. You know, I just start calling out the ancestors. Y'all are not going to take, you know, y'all might touch this stuff, but y'all cannot harm me. Y'all cannot have me. This is not, everything that I lose here today, and what I had a glimpse in that moment, and really what I want to share to you today, what I had a glimpse of in that moment when they're getting my possessions. I've been in that house since 1996. I've been in that house since 1996. I've paid for that house many more times. Oh, that house has been paid for. I mean, I never missed a mortgage payment. I never missed, and was never late until the banks tried to trick me into being late and trying to fix my loan. Okay, so I've paid for this house. I've invested into this house. This house was my house. My son was born into this house. And when they come into my house and they grab my belongings and throw them in trash bags and out on the yard like it's just trash, then let's talk about, you know, sending the cop, you know, and he's like, well, I'm going to let you stay in here, but you need to be, you know, in order. You know, I need you can't get in the way, so I go in my room to try so they won't touch my belongings that I wear. I pack up my altar so they can't touch that, you know, and I'm just praying. I'm walking through the house, I'm calling in every single spirit that walks with me, through me, and for me, and they're going to protect me. When they come in on that, I had no contingency plan. I had no idea of where I was going to go. I made no contingency plan because I was in a fight. When you're in a fight and you're in a ring, you don't worry about what's going to happen when you get out of that ring if you get knocked out. You're in that fight. You know, it took a lot of my energy, my own personal power. I'm going to tell you, I've learned how to control my chi. of being able to sublimate my own core desires and be able to turn off those stress hormones, the cortisol, and turn on my serotonin so they can flood my brain with release, and so that I can stand and fight and be present. It is possible, but you have to stand in that moment and accept whatever's happening to you as well. So I'm calling my ancestors, and I just feel this energy just is building and building in this room. And the cop, and so the mix of the people, so we got Wells Fargo, who have illegally traded my home off to Freddie Mac, and you know they got the courts and the JP, and everybody's in cahoots. And I know, and it's actually a brother that works downtown in Tarrant County courthouses that nitpicks the houses, the ones that are going to get sold on the block. Just a brother. So all kin folks are not my kin folks. That's the thing. They're in there, and the cop was like, well, ma'am, you know, I'm sorry, you know, this is the same thing that happened to me. I had to, you know, I had a mortgage, and they got me on that flip reverse interest, and I had to lose my house. You know, I had to end up giving it back. And he's like, well, my hands are tied. I said, exactly. You a slave just like everybody else. And I tell this cop in his face, I don't have no problem with telling him the truth. He tell me right there, he said, my hands are tied. Right, do you see that? You have to realize that when we're dealing, you're fighting the cops and the police, they are just the minions, all right? They're the minions. They have been brainwashed to just do, I'm doing my job. Yeah. And I told the cop, the world is going to end by people, it's going to be destroyed by people in the name of doing my job. I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job is not an excuse. Because it's a divine thing, you have a responsibility, a collective responsibility to everybody that's around you. So that being said, I go and I talk to him, you know, and I'm like real, like I'm in the moment. I don't care. Y'all put my stuff in trash bags. I'm giving him the right. I'm already telling him how I know the system is corrupt, and he's looking at me like he already knows, but it's nothing that he can do about it. Right? So 4 p.m. I still don't know where I'm going to live. My stuff's sitting on the driveway in my front yard. And I've been collecting these things. It's not that I'm not materialistic, but I collect it like I have nice things, because these are things that I invested in my house, and they're just throwing them out there like it's trash. Right? 4 o'clock, actually, a brother that I had met the week before, because I go and make a plea to the community, because many people didn't even really know my story. I go and speak in front of the community at the bookstore in Fort Worth, and one brother, we're talking and communicating that week, and he's trying to help me get some paperwork, trying to figure out how can we get this, you know, through the courts, because the courts have decided they're going to kick me out. Bankruptcy court, they were in cahoots in bankruptcy court. My lawyers were in cahoots, found out the lawyer, when I finally got a lawyer, my lawyer had been disbarred. I mean, everything that you could have think of to, right? 4 o'clock, the brother I met the week before, he calls me, at 4 o'clock he calls me, every now and then I have a house for you to stay in. By 6 o'clock I have a key to the house. I didn't know anybody really to call, because I'm just a friend that I had just recently, you know, made acquaintance with a few months before. She called out the community. The community is out there helping me pack everything up. But I also got my neighbors. I've been in this house since 1996, right? They walking by like vultures trying to figure out what they can pick off and they can buy and what's going on. What's going on? None of your business is what's going on. Either you gonna help? Are you gonna sell that? No, I'm not selling that, right? So these are the things that, so I'm tying in, as you see as I'm talking, I'm tying in a lot of the points that everybody's already kind of brought in today, right? Just with my story, right? We all have that same story that we all have kind of shared and experienced on different levels. Actually, I wasn't really doing it alone. I had a supposedly a friend. She kind of instigated me into this movement of showing me how everything happens. Yeah, we're going to win your house. We're going to help you. We're going to do this. I'll call her the day they're at my house taking my stuff. I need to go get some water. I don't have my car. I haven't spoken for days. So, I'm dealing with that loss. I'm dealing with the loss and feeling the loss of betrayal, right? I'm dealing with the victimization of the courts. So I intimately see and know how the courts get you on the criminal side and on the civil side, right? So they take our bodies and our land, right? Because that's the only thing that has value. Human resources. That's what you get your paycheck out of, right? Money is not real. Money has no value. It has only intrinsic value. It has the energy, human energy that we put into it, right? So, as a health coach, that's really, just helping people to understand, I have my own story, but how do you process yourself? How can I stand here today? And actually the topic was, I could have been bitter, but I got better. I could have been real bitter. That whole story I told you right now, I could be the angry black woman that they always want to quick to portray. And, and like I said, even in the meditation, yes, I do have a right to be angry. I have a right to every single emotion that I have, but anger does not serve me. Because anger puts me on the same vibrational frequency as the people who have tried to victimize me. Right? So we're looking at energy levels here, right? And, one thing that came to me in a meditation, they was like, okay, Bruce Lee, was, sometimes you can't fight fire with fire, you have to fight it with water. You have to learn how to become that water, because as African people, as original people, as in our DNA, we have the ability to become anything because we possess that in our DNA. Encoded in our DNA is everything that is here on this earth.
That's it. That's it. You better know it.
So when you learn and realize that, right, you can really empower yourself. So when I look at loss, there is really no loss, because even though I lost that house, there's a lot of negative energy left in that house. That house moved me in the house that I'm in now. It's not the ideal house, but it keeps me uncomfortable enough to keep me moving forward. Because life does require a certain amount of discourse to create movement. You cannot be stagnant and still and expect change to happen. All right? It's about energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's only transferred from one object to the next. In the beginning, there was a word, and with the word, there was God. And with God, there was with the word. There was nothing before a word. And with his word, that word was life, and it was energy. And it breathed life into everything that he formed. And nothing created before he thought of it.
That's it.
Right? Energy, light, thought. That's where everything manifests from. Even all the things that they try to do and do against us, they cannot kill us. When you are naturally strong and a natural leader, and I don't have to do anything to oppress you. Because I naturally can stand on my own. I don't need no one to govern me. I am my own woman.
That's it.
Right? I can walk my own path, choose my own steps, and make my own decisions. But when we give our powers over and have to call the police to break up our arguments,
That's right. That's right.
when we can't get along as a family and learn how to disagree but still love each other towards a common goal,
Right.
we're never going to go and progress anywhere.
Right.
So again, that energy, anger, loss, despair, those things are also associated with scarcity, right? That's really what all this comes into, is scarcity, is that I'm afraid that I don't have enough, so I have to take something that does not belong to me. But I know within me, I have everything that I need available to me. I did not need to fret. Even when I came here today, I was running a little late, but I was like, you know what, I'm glad I'm coming to one of my people's functions, because I was right on time. I don't worry. I was like, how am I going to get all of this stuff out of my car, and where am I going to park? parking spot. I got one right on the curb on the street, right? I walk up here, I come back down, I got 4 or 5 people ready to help me with hands. If I came any earlier, they wouldn't have been here. Right? It's synchronicity. It's even today. I met Ishtime through a catering event that I did. It was happened to be a last minute week. I had 5 days of plan for the catering event that Equator asked me for. I know that I am walking my path. When you're walking your path, even though those things that you think are knocking you off, it's just your GPS just turning you to go left, go east, go north, about northwest. And where is it you're really trying to go? Because when you think you have to go, you might not be taking the right directions. You might not be driving the right vehicle. Right? So, also as a health coach, that vehicle, your body is that vehicle that you need to keep connected. All right? So we have to really make sure we're taking care of our bodies for this fight, because you have to be strong. And before, even though my mind really wanted to fight and do these things, before I really took ownership of my health, I didn't have the energy. I had cloudy brain, I had low energy, my body felt like it was falling apart, from allergies and gastrointestinal problems, severe depression, near suicidal depression. Your diet can also contribute to that as well. The things that they're exposing to us and putting in the air and the TVs, the different frequencies and things so we have to realize it's not, sometimes when I think I'm going crazy, I realize it's not me going crazy, it's the things that are around me. So as I begin to ground and attune and know and own myself, I can filter a lot of that stuff out. It doesn't affect me, it doesn't change, my course. I can be more in tune. Okay, are these my emotions or is it somebody else's emotions? Is this the other rooms of feelings and emotions? So again, if we're talking about the energy, we're talking about loss, and we're talking about grief. Yes, we have all lost something. Most of you probably, we've all probably lost loved ones. Some of you have lost loved ones tragically, too early, whether it's to disease, brutality, violence. I don't want to use canned experience sayings like, things happen for a reason and things. But when you're from a spiritual point of view, know that we don't get anything that we cannot handle. And those people that we may have lost, and we think even though they're physically not here, energy cannot be created or destroyed. My body is just a vessel for my soul and my being. So if I breathe out that last breath, I am no longer here. This is just a collection of minerals, right? So your loved ones are not lost, they've just transitioned. They're just on the other side. So also with that ancestral veneration, learning how to heal and not just, finding a place, a sacred space that you can talk and commune with those that you have lost. So they can give you directions from the other side of how to handle things. And so that on the ethereal side, on the other side of things, that they can be working their magic. That's right. So those things, they can open those doorways to you, right? So they can turn that red light green when you need to go, right? So they can make you invisible when that cop, is trying to stop you or harass you. Or when your name shows up on the docket, the judge doesn't realize it's you, and they go ahead and give you a court date instead of rejecting it, right?
Oh yes, that's for them.
So, look, I know my things were thrown out of court before they even had a chance to even look at it. All right? They already decided when I have my trustee, and legally a trustee says that I'm not capable, responsible of holding my own affairs, so I need somebody appointed to do that for me. So he's supposed to be acting in my own best interest. See, that I know more than just health. I understand the goings-ons and how things are supposed to work. But the trustee is talking to the bank and they let them sign another order to get my house taken out of bankruptcy court. I had to go through and experience these things, and I had so that I could come and really be here and speak with you today. Actually, I didn't plan on sharing that story today. And each time I was like, I was asking what she wanted me to speak about. I had a topic. She was like, just come from your heart. And I didn't write. I kind of wrote some notes down. But all I did was I prayed and I meditated. I prayed and I meditated last night. I prayed and I meditated today. I prayed and meditated when I came here. And even when I was here, I was just open for let Spirit just use my tongue to speak through me. So this is not me speaking. This is Spirit speaking through me. So I hope that I have touched you and just realize that, you know, we all experience things and sometimes we don't understand why, right? You know, each time you were already in this fight, you were already in this, but you already had the background to know and how to deal with it. So when another mother has it, she's just been going to work every day from a 9 to 5, and she just thinks this is something that happens out of the blue. You can be like, no, mama, no, this was planned before your baby was even born.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yes.
Sometimes those of us that experience those things, and those that collective in this group, you know, we know, we see things, we experience things, and we sometimes often ask why. Why me? Why did this happen? I don't understand. And of course, you know, we can go to, you know, the pictures of, you know, the corruption. But this is just a human experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So when you don't understand, don't rely on your flesh to give you that answer, because it will not hold that answer. Because one thing, your flesh is only capable of experiencing and being able to relay a very small percentage of what's actually going on around you. Right? We can only see a small percentage of light. We can only hear a small percentage of sound. We can only smell a small percentage of things that we smell. And even when we eat and we taste, if we eat and taste and try to consume too much, what happens? You get fat and you die. Right? There is a limit to what you can expose yourself to. There's a limit of what you can experience. So that's when you must rely on your spiritual essence. Because your spiritual essence will give you the answers that your flesh cannot comprehend. Right? So I just want to leave you here today. I hope that you guys have enjoyed everything that I've talked to you about today. As a health coach, I just work with you guys. I do have my newsletter list. I would like for you guys to sign up on my iPad so that we can stay in touch. I'm really passionate about, you know, getting my community healthy. Because we have to have the health to stand up for the fight. Okay? We can't be on blood pressure medication. We can't be on diabetes. We can't be dependent. We can't go from the, you know, prison industrial complex to the healthcare industry, right? We can't teeter-totter from one to the next, because that's, you know, that's the balance of where we're at. That our life and our death is really at. So, taking ownership of your life, of who you are, where you are, is really important in making the changes that you need. So thank you very much for listening to me today. And y'all be blessed. Thank you. All right. Now, can we play some happy music? Because I think we need to be happy. Can we get happy?
Getting out of the man.
Let's get a happy song.
Like, that's right.
We need to get a happy song to bring up the energy. I know it's been kind of as we go out, but, you know, I'm a dancer. So